So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our 2021 Jupiter and Saturn transit specific video. As you know, I have already made a video on 2021 transit using this new method. Okay. But today we're just going to be focusing on the conjunction of these two planets because in 2021, both are going to be in the sign of Capricorn in the sidereal Vedic astrology side. But one thing interesting that is also happening starting literally from January 1. Okay, not before, not after, literally from January 1, Pluto is going to enter the sign of Capricorn. So now you have these three things that are coming together. Okay. And the reason why I'm also involving, these outer planets because after enough, analysis, I wouldn't really call it research because research is something completely deep and different, which I am maybe not even capable of doing. But just from the analysis, I do see this gravitational, pull in these particular outer planets in terms of astrology. So you got to understand what is Jupiter in astrology. Jupiter represents Jivakarka, everything which is alive and blossoming, which means pretty much nature in one word, whether it's the mountains, the rivers, the birds, the animals, the bacterias, whatever it is comes under Jiva. So Jupiter's job is to give life to something. And this is why we always look for Jupiter transit in terms of pregnancies. So if somebody wants to have a child, Jupiter has to, transit certain places and aspect certain things before you can even say that, okay, yes, you can, start getting pregnant now. And Jupiter represents the law, is the divine law. Okay? Jupiter represents the divine law. Jupiter represents the universal law. And then you have Saturn. Saturn represents the public. Saturn represents the masses. Saturn represents rebellion. Saturn is the significator of hidden things, secrecy. Saturn is the significator of losing something. And this can be subjective because what is losing something? If you're sick and you get better, what happens? You lost your sickness. Okay, great. You have $1 million. You lost 700,000 out of that million. That's a loss. You have a relationship that just doesn't work out. It's not good for you. So you lose that relationship. That's signified by Saturn. It's the death of something. So you can have something else come in. Then you have Pluto, the planet that actually represents revolution, change of generations. It represents the hidden secrets. It represents evolving through, it's pretty much like, you can just call it like Ardra. Pluto, the planet Pluto, it's like the nakshatra of Ardra or Mula or Purva Bhadrapada. It is about just dramatically cleaning something out so something new can form. So when these three planets are now conjunct in Capricorn, Capricorn is the sign of status. It's the sign of duty, commitment, and sacrifice. Because when you are in your career, what are you doing? You're performing your duties, your commitment to the company, and you're making sacrifice because you're now taking that time away from your family or the things you love doing for the company. Okay. And when these three things are together in the sign of Capricorn, clearly, first of all, shows, again, just like I said last year, protest and revolution will erupt. And this time, because Pluto is in this particular, segment of Capricorn, it'll be eruption due to discovery of some deep hidden secret that'll finally come out. And you can expect this probably by, March to May. March to May of 2021. But what also happens is Saturn represents something old, something ancient, something which is old and, traditional. Jupiter naturally represents tradition. And Pluto, like I said, is that Ardhra Nakshatra. On one hand, you will have a group of people wanting to go back to older tradition. You'll have one group of people trying to destroy tradition. And in this period, this is where these two things will collide. Tradition versus the new tradition. Because one thing wants to clean something out, the other thing wants to, embed itself into older tradition. And especially you will see, and this actually, even I said this in 2019 for 2020, which also has occurred. But really in 2021, you will see many people around the globe wanting to isolate themselves from big cities. They want to go into nature. They want to go off grid. They want to go into like earth built homes. Something where they're not surrounded by the chaos of transformation. Because remember, transformation is going to happen. It is the constant of life. It is what life is. It's just constantly changing. That's what life is. But what happens is, with especially older people, people who have grown up in a certain traditional flow, it's hard for them to, embrace something dramatically that is changing. And they want to resist that. And they want to stuck with what they have. And this has happened throughout eons. And so what happens is you will see majority of people who are in their middle age and older wanting to just kind of separate themselves from this chaos that is trying to bring the change and wanting to be on the side. Definitely, you will also see discovery of some major manipulation as well. And this could occur again, like literally from April to June. And especially somebody extremely young, literally childlike. Somebody childlike is the one that will take over something, will be the one defeating something big during 2021 to give to the people what they need. But it will be someone who's childlike. And again, rebellious against law. Rebellions against wild law. Why wild law? Because like I said, Pluto is now in mix with these two planets. And due to this, that Ardhra Mula and Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra comes into play, which are very destructive nakshatras. So people are going to rebel against some wild law, wild rules, wild regulations. Then, on the other hand, I believe it is February of next year where you have like this 6 or 7 planetary conjunction. And what this pretty much signifies is the concentration of energy in Capricorn. Because Capricorn, again, is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is sitting there. Saturn is now in mixed with all of these things. And this is where in February we see a big, change towards authority and government. I'm not talking about some country like US. I'm talking about over around the world. It will be this domination and rebellion and chaos related to wanting to, either establish a new authority or rebel against the authority. So this is what we clearly, see. And then again, this is also on the individual basis. This can bring about, very dominating Raj Yoga for some people. For some people, this will be an excellent time period for even starting something new, starting some new business. depending upon which house the sign of Capricorn is in your particular birth chart. But the energy of pretty much majority of the houses, whether it's the sign of Aries and Taurus and Gemini and Cancer and Leo, all of them will be concentrated into this one sign of duty, commitment, and sacrifice. But because this tiny spark is there of Pluto, this is where you see this big eruption of, just wanting to just not deal with certain rules, regulations, and authorities. So February is going to be a very big month, especially in terms of markets. Now, I have to do a little bit more research, because either it could be the biggest boom of the markets, like stock markets, or it could be a complete bust of the markets. And right now, I'm seeing something related to the boom instead of a bust. So, because you got to understand, stock markets don't react on what you expect. Like, a company can come out with the best balance sheet for that year, and suddenly you will see the very next day or the same day the stock value goes down for that particular stock, and you're just wondering what is going on, while the markets is literally reacting to something completely different versus the balance sheet of the company. Most of the time, I've seen stock market react to the stimulus checks. The more the government prints money, the better the stock market does. It's kind of like, Rahu. It's kind of like this whale. You just have to keep feeding it. It will not, it'll keep asking for more. And so, again, in Capricorn, there's going to be this big thing related to either the boom or the bust. But like I said, I definitely see more of a boom during that period. If there's going to be a bust, it'll be before that. But again, even then, I don't see any bust. This is why I don't see it. Now, wherever Jupiter and Saturn are transiting, in your particular chart, this is where whatever I've just explained, you will see that playing out in that particular area of your life, which is transformation, rebellion, sacrifice in that particular house. Now, the easiest way, to not have these things affect you. And one thing you have to also understand is that Jupiter, being in the sign of Capricorn, is, of course, known as debilitated Jupiter. But what does that really mean? Well, it simply means that Jupiter's sight, Jupiter's aim, Jupiter's mission becomes lesser towards higher divinity, higher God, learning knowledge, and it's more about indulging in society, indulging in power, indulging in status quo. And this is why Vedic astrology considers Jupiter in debilitated position. But again, debilitation doesn't mean that it's a fall of everything related to Jupiter, in Capricorn, because Jupiter, as you know, is a significator of wealth, children, higher education, higher knowledge, gurus, father, gains, prosperity. What it's simply showing that the attainment of these things in Jupiter being in Capricorn, it's going to be attained by fighting with society, indulging in society, indulging in the desires that society portrays on us. Because a real Jupiter, actually, if you read Artha Shastra, is an economist, a business person. He's the advisor to the big banks. And then the other side of Jupiter is also in the Himalayas, in isolation, away from people, living their own little, hidden secret life. So what happens in Capricorn, the other side of Jupiter comes out, the advisor comes out, the person who's passionate about how to use your intelligence towards attaining the hierarchy, using your intelligence to attain that status. And that's considered. So each planet have their exaltation, debilitation, division. Venus's exaltation is devotion. Devotion to the divine, devotion to the higher power. The debilitated side of Jupiter or Venus becomes about beauty, fashion. Okay, it's about indulging in devotion to relationship, devotion to marriage. For us, it looks like exalted, but in reality, in different yugas, different time, the one exaltation will have more dominance over the other. So that's all it is. And then Jupiter is with Saturn, the planet of people, the planet of struggles, the planet of bringing about results of karma. So when these two are together, you have to understand that the results are being guided. Okay, results are being now guided by someone who is looking to expand itself. And in this particular scenario of transit, everybody's looking to expand. As they say, rich gets richer. So the richer will be getting advice to become richer. The normal person wants to seek certain things to attain their success. So on one hand, this causes rebelliousness, this causes uprisings. And on the other hand, I do see that transformation into and using intelligence to maneuver through certain systems and attaining success. And this is where, when I'm analyzing the market and also looking at Pluto's previous positions, it's really doesn't show all doom and gloom as one may think. Markets have been down 2,000 points in one day in US. So what? Markets react on the most absurd things. Like I was telling you, a company can come out with the balance sheets and their stock still goes down. So it's not like, well, this thing is happening. Like even in pandemic, NASDAQ and Dow Jones have risen. So in each situation, certain companies will flourish more and they will bring the market up more. And like I was telling you in my previous video, the remedy that you should watch there, about the brass elephant, taking care of your teeth, especially for those people who have planets sitting in Capricorn and then both Jupiter and Saturn are going over it, definitely, do those remedies. So the video that I made maybe like 2 weeks ago on 2021 horoscope, I already explained that in there. Okay. So guys, this was my analysis of Jupiter and Saturn in the sign of Capricorn with the additional masala of Pluto. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you can have more of these videos, and also check out some new videos that I've now put on KRS vlogs under the description link and under the comment section, where I've actually put 2 or 3 more videos, and I'm going to be doing something with nakshatras, how to study a planet in a nakshatra on KRS vlogs, which is my uncensored blogs, on my academy online. So anyway, guys, we will see you later. Bye-bye.